going on, everybody? Thank you so much for watching this video. I just wanted to make a video to really solidify Star Wars' place on this channel and talk about why I love it so deeply, why I have such a passion for it, and yeah, just what it means to me, what it's been in my life, all those different kinds of things. So at the beginning of my video and in the banner, it says movies, TV, and Star Wars, and I actually had a coworker ask me, wouldn't Star Wars just fall under movies and TV? She's right, it's absolutely accurate, but I just felt that Star Wars, for me and my life, really just sits on a different shelf. It has a different role. So I really wanted to establish Star Wars' role on this channel, my passion for it, how much I love it, and really talk about why it's gonna have its own role on this channel outside of just movies and TV. So as a kid, I really can't remember a time where Star Wars was not a part of my life. It always really has been there. My parents had the original VHS tapes and the special edition VHS tapes that came out later on, and I remember watching them countless times as a kid, all the way up to 1999. I was about 6-7 years old when I saw The Phantom Menace for the first time in theaters, my first Star Wars movie to ever see in theaters. So by the time I went to go see The Phantom Menace in theaters, I had already seen the original trilogy countless times. I was in love with the characters and the story and everything that came with it, the sound effects, the music. There was just so much feeling there, and as a kid I feel like I really latched onto that. And in the coming years, I was a huge fan of Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. I look back now, and after all of this, I can genuinely say that The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones are my least favorite Star Wars movies. But with that said, I absolutely love them. I love Star Wars. I don't really have a Star Wars film that I hate or really dislike. Does that make me blind to the issues that the movies have? No, but I feel like there's a certain charm that Star Wars has. None of the Star Wars movies, for me, are perfect. I love these movies growing up. I would play them on repeat countless times. I played the video games. I did everything I could to be as engaged in Star Wars as I could. The toys, the clothing, everything, absolutely everything that I could be a part of. I'm really glad that I was a kid when the prequel trilogy came out, because I really got to suck it up and enjoy it as a kid for what it was at the time. As I've grown older, there's been so many more elements there for me as an adult that I didn't recognize or I really didn't understand the full meaning of when I was a kid. So as I've grown older, these films have gotten stronger for me and only become more and more relevant, especially with a lot of the political elements of what's going on in the world today. Are they silly? Are they cheesy at times? Sure. But the original trilogy has moments like that for me as well. And, you know, that's up for argument and that's up for debate. But I really, really, really loved the prequels growing up. But I also really love the original trilogy, and I have loved what Disney has done with the new films thus far. Not to mention that the prequel trilogy also spawned the original miniseries of the Clone Wars, as well as the Clone Wars that we all know and love that is returning, and I cannot wait to see it. I feel like the prequel era of films really, really took Star Wars to a whole new level, expanded the lore, and so many of the aliens and planets and stories that we know and love at this point are because of the prequel trilogy, and I'm super, super grateful for it. I also feel that because I didn't grow up with that expectation from the original trilogy, I was really able to enjoy the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, and as I've grown up, I've loved all 6 films. Those 6 films are my life. I love them so, so much. And now I've been able to add The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Rogue One, and Solo: A Star Wars Story. Sure, are there issues across these movies? Absolutely. No movie is perfect, not a single one, and I don't think that that's what makes a movie good. Perfection. For me, Star Wars has such a specific charm, and the characters and the music, that little minor things really cannot take away from how expansive, how much love is put into this franchise. I think to say that there isn't love and passion and hard work put into these films is a discredit to the amount of work that gets put into it, and everything that you see on screen that really can be easily taken for granted. Being an adult in this era of Star Wars and being able to see just how much hatred there is across these new films from people who are just stuck on the older films, I just don't get it. I really don't. I love everything that has come out of Star Wars, and it's because it's Star Wars? No, but it helps. I just have an instant love for that name and the stories that come within it, whether it's the books, the video games, the films. But that doesn't mean I'm blind to the issues. It doesn't mean that I don't see editing issues or little moments of bad special effects and think, oh God. But it doesn't take me out of the movie. I can nitpick tons of little moments in all the movies and have fun with it. I still poke fun at these films all the time. One of my favorite things about Star Wars is being able to see how it's parodied at times, because there's so much fun with it. If you're a fan of the films, there's so many little cheesy things that you can poke fun at. There's a real human story at the center of all of Star Wars, whether it's the animated series, whether it's the live action movies, whether it's the books, whether it's the video games. They always tend to have this very human story in this very over-the-top and crazy sci-fi fantasy world, and that's one of the things I love the most about Star Wars, is you have this real story in the midst of all this insanity. Also, I do intend on making a separate video for each of the Star Wars films. I want to review each and individual Star Wars film on this channel, so do expect it to come. I don't know when I'm going to be doing those just yet, but I will be doing them soon. There's a few movie sequels coming up in this holiday season now, and I really want to be able to do the first movies prior to the sequels coming out so I can review both of them. So I'll probably get around to Star Wars a little bit after the holidays, but we'll see, we'll see. So yeah, I really just wanted to make this video to talk about why I love Star Wars so much, why it's such a big part of my life, and invite anybody who's watching this who is a huge Star Wars fan and doesn't understand all the hatred towards it to hit subscribe, like this video, stick around. There will be more Star Wars love on this channel. I do not hate on Star Wars. I just don't. I love it. I can talk about it and nitpick, and we can discuss things that don't work. But yeah, I just love it so much, and I think there's so much there. One of my favorite things about Star Wars is how much of Star Wars there is. There really is so much for you to dive into, whether it's the movies, the animated series, the upcoming television series, the books. There really is so much. And if you want to be a part of the Star Wars, whether it's expanding the lore through the new canon or jumping to Legends in the old canon and being able to dive into all those books, there really is so much to learn. If you want to be one of those fans who wants to know all the ship names and all the different kinds of alien races, you never will really be able to be fully caught up, because there's always something new. And that's something that I truly love about Star Wars, is that it always is expanding and always giving us new stories and new tales, new characters, and taking us to new places. And of course, I'm referring more to across all of the mediums of Star Wars, not just the films, because obviously we're still stuck really around the Skywalker saga with the films, but obviously that's going to be changing, even though I've loved every single film in the Skywalker saga and the movies that surround it, including Rogue One and Solo, a Star Wars story. I'll talk more about that one later on, but I really walked into Solo not expecting much, and it was the first Star Wars movie that I was actually ever really negative about. It was the first Star Wars movie that I actually ever felt any sense of doubt for, and I walked out of the movie more than happy. It was one of those things for me that really spoke to me and made me realize I trust Lucasfilm. I trust them with the franchise. I trust them with the love and passion that they're going to put into these films and the stories. And I realize that whether everything's perfect for me or not doesn't really matter, because they're doing their best to bring us entertainment that really expands a franchise that we truly love. And in the end of the day, it's space wizards. It's space wizards and robots. But guess what? It's beautiful. It's amazing. It gives me the feels, and my nips are rock hard every time I watch it. So I mentioned before that you could jump into the new canon of Star Wars, or you could dive into the old canon that's now referred to as Legends. And I wanted to explain a little bit about that. When Disney acquired Lucasfilm, they essentially announced that all of the old books and comic books that were tied to the old original canon, which were built around the original 6 films, would no longer be considered canon, which means that they were no longer considered part of the actual story of Star Wars and were now being tossed out and being seen more as alternate universe rather than the actual canon of Star Wars. A lot of people were really upset about that, and at first I was kind of bummed about it. There are so many beautiful stories and expansions from the films that come in these books, and so much of what people knew Star Wars to be out after those films was because of those books. There were so many popular characters and stories that were because of the books and had no ties to the film, and so that was a big bummer for a lot of people. It took a lot of people out of it, and I think it's been a driving force for a lot of the hate that a lot of people have had with the new films. With that said, I understood why they did it 110%, and I was okay with it. There were just so many books in the old canon of Star Wars that really expanded on characters that we knew and loved from the films, and there was really no way, in my eyes, that Disney and the new filmmakers were going to be able to bring these characters back to screen with all the additional storytelling that had happened in the books over years and years without it just being a muddled, cluttered mess in the film. So it made sense to me that they chose to go a different route, kind of retell the story, and I genuinely have been a huge fan. I have loved every single film they've put out thus far. I really have minimal complaints. I would say, if anything, the video game department is the weakest area, just because I really feel like we haven't gotten too many since Disney bought it, other than Battlefront 1 and 2, which have had their online issues. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Star Wars, kind of like ramble off on my drive and explain why I love it so much. There's so much more to be said. I really didn't get into it in this video, to be honest. But I am going to be doing separate videos for all of the individual Star Wars movies, so look out for that. Thank you guys so much again for watching. Hit that like button, leave me a comment down below, and please subscribe. Share this channel around. Let's get the word out. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.